Micro, small, and medium enterprises operate on a massive macroeconomic scale. They account for nearly a third of the GDP, drive millions of jobs, and act as the primary engine for grassroots innovation. But down on the ground, the daily reality is a maze of survival. Owners constantly battle incredibly thin margins, unpredictable cash flow, and delayed payments that threaten to halt operations. Most owners assume the solution to this friction is external. They believe that securing a larger line of credit or driving a massive spike in sales will automatically cure these foundational struggles. A business lacking financial discipline acts like a cracked funnel. Pumping in more capital or revenue doesn't fix the structure. It simply accelerates the rate at which cash bleeds out. The real bottleneck keeping these businesses from scaling is internal. It is a structural failure known as the founder's trap. The sheer force of will, long hours, and relentless micromanagement required to get a business off the ground eventually become its permanent ceiling. In a personality-driven operation, every workflow, every minor expense approval, and every daily client decision must route directly through one single individual. This creates a critical vulnerability. As the volume of work scales past human capacity, the entire architecture buckles under the pressure. If the owner steps away for a day or simply gets overwhelmed by the data load, all momentum freezes. Without an evolution in structure, the hardest working person in the room becomes the single biggest obstacle to their own company's survival. Escaping this bottleneck requires moving from a founder-driven operation to a system-driven one. We can map this structural shift using the 3S framework. The first pillar is strategy, the map. This requires a psychological transition from reactive, daily firefighting to establishing a proactive, long-term vision. A functional strategy means defining measurable goals, identifying a highly specific target market, and executing strict financial forecasting to anticipate roadblocks. It also requires establishing a clear brand identity. When a business competes on trust, specialized service, or quality, it escapes the exhausting race-to-the-bottom price war. Hard work without a documented strategy means a business isn't actually growing. It is just moving rapidly in exhausted circles. The second pillar is systems, the engine. This is the mechanical infrastructure that allows the company to operate efficiently without the founder's daily input. You don't need a massive IT budget to build this engine. It starts with documenting basic workflows, defining exact roles for the team, and relying on accessible tools like shared spreadsheets or simple accounting software. These systems also serve as a protective shield against the ultimate business killer, the cash flow crisis. Formal legal contracts and strict documentation enforce compliance. For registered MSMEs, bulletproof paperwork actively protects against bad debts by enforcing mandatory 45-day payment cycles. Once robust operational systems are embedded, the organization's foundation stands firm, entirely independent of human error or a founder's absence. The final pillar is skills, the driver. Even the most perfectly engineered system will stall out if the human team lacks the capability to run it. Founders routinely fixate on materials, machines, and technology while ignoring human resources. They view team training as an avoidable expense rather than a required investment. Continuous technical and leadership training is not just helpful, it is mandatory routine maintenance for a business's most critical assets. To make this work, the founder's daily routine has to evolve. They must stop being the primary doer of tasks, delegate actual authority, and transition into a true leadership role. Investing in skills and delegating authority creates a massive force multiplier. It transforms a group of passive order takers into an autonomous, problem-solving engine. When strategy, systems, and skills align, the business escapes the daily survival phase and achieves actual operational capability. This changes the entire financial equation. Incoming capital is finally leveraged to scale the business outward rather than burned to plug operational leaks. This structural evolution doesn't require an overnight overhaul. Real resilience is built through small, compound actions. Prioritizing just the top 3 issues each morning, running basic budgets, and taking incremental steps towards sustainable practices. To achieve limitless scale, a founder's highest priority is not to work harder. The ultimate goal is to build a machine so efficient